Welcome to One on One. Our conversation today will be with a proud Nigerian in diaspora. The University of Jos Nigerian graduate was in 2016 a recipient of the MBE insignia from His Royal Highness Prince Charles. Ms. Yemisi Jenkins, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
I know there's a lot more to tell us, but could you just start with what you do for Nigerians in the UK?
Where do I start from? I engage with the Nigerian community in the United Kingdom. My official role, and I need to make it clear that I'm not here officially, but officially I work for the Home Office. I am the National Community Engagement Lead, leading on Nigeria in the Home Office. And I also chair the British-Nigerian Safeguarding Consortium, which was set up following a lot of issues within the Nigerian community regarding or relating to safeguarding. I'm also the immediate past president of Association of British-Nigerian Law Enforcement Agents Officers. This group was actually created in 2004 to raise awareness and change the negativity about Nigeria and Nigerians in the United Kingdom.
Would you say that job has been achieved, that Nigerians have a better image in the UK particularly?
It's a work in progress because as you try to address one issue, another one comes up. So it's a continuous work. And since I handed over to my current president now, we are still trying as much as we can to raise awareness, because it's all about raising awareness and ensuring that people, or let's say Nigerians in the United Kingdom, abide by the rules. They have an understanding of the laws of the land, because a lot of people come over with what they're used to back home, and people have gotten into problems, I should say.
Would you agree that Nigerians are very loud? There's usually that allegation sometimes wherever we go to. Is that your experience?
What I would say is that we tend to, unfortunately, make a lot of noise about the negativity and not focus on the positive things that we as Nigerians in diaspora do. Hence, the creation of ABLE. ABLE is the acronym for Association of British-Nigerian Law Enforcement Officers. We seem to talk more about the negative things. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying that we don't have our bad eggs. Like every other community in the United Kingdom, each and every community has their own bad eggs, but we tend to talk more about them and not raise awareness or talk about those of us that are achieving in the United Kingdom.
Okay. I want to take this question off the table before we move further.
Okay.
As regards your role,
yes.
There is this website that is accusing you of not actually helping Nigerians learn more about the rules as to living in the UK, but that you are working as an informant. That's the word now, informant for the UK immigration. How would you react to that?
I am so glad that you have asked that question. If you hadn't asked, then I would have been wondering if you had done your homework. Let me just shed a bit of light into that. What happened was, some few years back, we had a lady who was producing some cards. She referred to the cards as a British Commonwealth card, and there's nothing, or Commonwealth card, and there's nothing like that. And that card, she told people that gave them the same rights as British nationals. Don't forget that. And these people she was selling the cards to are vulnerable people who have come to the UK and maybe overstayed in the UK and are looking for ways to regularize their papers. And when you're in that situation, you become vulnerable. Anything anybody says to you seems real. I was then approached in my role in the Home Office to say this is ongoing, in fact, by solicitors, to say Nigerians are coming in, renouncing their Nigerian nationality for this so-called British Commonwealth card. So we had to take it on. Of course, it's a scam. And can I just repeat that if anybody approaches you and tells you that there's something called Commonwealth card that will give you the same rights as British nationals, I'm sorry, it's a scam. You're just wasting your money.
But why is such legality allowed to prevail? Isn't it something the Home Office can do to moderate such excesses?
Well, in terms of managing it in the United Kingdom, we have nipped it in the bud. As in, the person is no longer in the United Kingdom as we speak.
Okay.
Yes. So, but I have heard emails from people in Nigeria asking me if this British Commonwealth card thing was real. And I've responded to say, I'm sorry, it is not real. If you need anything regarding traveling to the UK, regularizing your paper, please go to gov.uk. That gives you all the information you need to know. People have told me that that website is still ongoing, and as you know, when it comes to website, people can do whatever it is they want online. But I think it's gone quiet now, because I think the last email I got was probably 2 years ago.
Let's move forward now and just ask you about your experience with dealing with Nigerians. I know we talked a bit about, Nigerians being loud, but what's your personal experience having lived for over 20 years in the UK? What would you say has been your experience with all the Nigerians there?
I say to people that I love Nigerians. I hear people say, oh, when you talk about an area and they say a lot of Nigerians live there, oh, I don't want to live there, but I would rather live amongst Nigerians. Yes, we have challenges, we have vices, but we are good people. We are generally good people. We're very compassionate. We're very loving. We look after each other. It is when you have a challenge and the community rises to support you. That is when you will appreciate the Nigerian community in the United Kingdom. I recently lost my dad. That was in September. And the way and manner in which the Nigerian community rose to support me is unbelievable. That is one thing we have. And we're gradually losing it as a community. I am praying and hoping that it will return and we will see ourselves as one. Yes, we have our challenges. We have been labeled so many things, from drug pushers to 419ers, but other communities have theirs as well. Yes, we need to address ours, but I think we need to do a lot of awareness. We need to educate ourselves more. A lot of people want to come to the United Kingdom not having a good understanding of what is in stock for them. The United Kingdom is not paved with gold. I said to people, we have people who live on the streets, who sleep on the streets when it is very, very cold.
I'm going to just take away from you that there is that sense of family among Nigerians wherever we find ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is your challenges as a woman now, because whether we like it or not, the role of a woman in any organization, especially as high profile as yours, brings some challenges. Which would you say had stands out for you even up till now?
Well, I don't know. I have always sort of thrived in predominantly male-dominated environment, and maybe because I grew up as a tomboy, so I sort of settle very well within predominantly male environment. But having said that, yes, you're right. As a woman, you do have challenges. People have certain expectations of you when it comes to authority. Touch wood, I have not had that experience where I'm dealing with somebody and somebody is asking who the boss is. I think there was one time working in one of the biggest airports in the United Kingdom, and somebody was being questioned by my team, and the gentleman asked who was in charge, and one of my staff came and called me and said, this person needed to talk to you. And as soon as I turned up, the guy said, oh my God, it's a female and it's a black woman.
Really?
Yes. And I just smiled and I just said, how can I help you? Blah, 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 blah. Initially, he was very, I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to deal with me.
I like that. You have to deal with me, because I didn't get here simply because I was a woman.
No.
All right, we'll just take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about not only security, we'll talk about Brexit, we'll talk about Nigerian politics, we'll talk about a whole lot more. Stay with us. This is One on One. Glad to know you're still with us. We're still talking with Ms. Yemisi Jenkins, a Nigerian living in diaspora and working with Nigerians. Brexit, it's a 50-50 thing at the moment. So much going on. What does it mean for Africans living in diaspora? Should Brexit become a reality?
Well, the reality of Brexit for Africans is the same reality for any other community. It might be that we'll get more opportunities as African countries when Brexit, because if you notice, the Prime Minister came not too long ago, Prince Charles also came not too long ago, and people are saying, oh, it's part, and I think the Prime Minister also went to other African countries. So what people are saying is exploring opportunities in African countries now that we are coming out of Brexit. So like I said, it's whatever it is that people see and feel that they can take advantage of as in opportunities, I would say encourage people to just jump on the bandwagon.
Security, law enforcement, that's your area. Would you make a comparison? What would you say from your experience in the UK, and you're also a Nigerian, you lived here for many years. Mm-hmm. Could you do a comparison and tell us where we are at and what we can do better?
I will speak as the immediate past president of Association of British-Nigerian Law Enforcement Officers. What we have done in the past is to work with our colleagues here in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, in 2011, myself and two other officers were actually invited to deliver a training on intelligence gathering. We tend to encourage sharing of best practice because we know that, first, let me commend the law enforcement agencies in Nigeria. I say day in, day out that what they are subjected to, there's nowhere could survive in there. I need to say well done and kudos to them for achieving what they're able to achieve within the constraints of what they have. I need to put that out very clear. Now, if you ask me to compare, that would be unfair, because it's like comparing pears and apples. They're not the same.
Okay.
But in the circumstance that they have found themselves in, yes, even for us, there's still a lot of improvement to be done.
Okay, I think we should just take it from the area. If you're saying a comparison would be not advantageous to us, obviously, what areas do you think Nigerian law enforcement agencies can pay more attention and maybe, despite the constraint, do a little bit more?
For starters, I think we need to go back to the very, very basics. I was having a discussion with somebody about 2 days ago, and I said, for starters, the officers need to have an understanding of the powers that they have, and so also the populace. If somebody stops you in the UK, if the police stops you, you know, you can challenge, you can question what authority they're using, what law is guiding that. If you're coming through immigration in the UK, if an officer stops you and you can challenge that and say, under what law are you stopping me? And they can quote whatever it is to say, I am empowered by this law. I don't think a lot of Nigerians, let's talk about the citizens now, I don't think we know. And I'm not 100% sure. The officers may have had the training at the beginning, but in terms of refreshing themselves, because when you're carrying out a role, you need to constantly know under what authority and power you are carrying that out. That is one. So that is very basic. The second one is to have an understanding of what you as an officer is there to do. Protect, preserve, prevent crime and things like that. Protect the society. very, very important. Rather than you seeing it as doing us a favor, you are there to actually carry out your job. So I think we need to do a lot of reorientation, education. Some officers are doing it, even within the Nigerian law enforcement across the board. But I think we need more of them to come on board and have that understanding of, yes, I'm a law enforcement officer, but that does not give me the right or the authority to treat or speak to people anyhow. Everybody, respect begets respect. So if I respect you as a citizen, you as an officer should respect me as a citizen.
All right, let's come a bit closer to politics. It's in our faces. Elections are just by the corner.
Yes.
I want to ask first off, are you participating in the elections?
I am not registered, number one, and I don't discuss politics.
Okay. But you are a Nigerian, and as much as you don't live here, you still have a say. We hear of Nigerians in diaspora all over the world. They are clamoring for the ability to be able to vote wherever they are.
Yes.
Is that something that is happening in the UK as well?
In the UK, there has been a lot of noise about being able to vote. I have my personal opinion about that. I think first, let's even get it right at home first. Let's get it right at home first. When we get it right at home, then we can start talking about, Nigerians in diaspora voting. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, no, we should be allowed to vote. Yes, we should be allowed to vote. But then we need to have a very good understanding of the politics in Nigeria. Nigerian politics is completely different. With the little I know, I said I don't do politics, but with the little I know, the Nigerian politics is interesting compared to, let's say, the United Kingdom.
All right, what would you say from your understanding of the Nigerian political scene? You don't do a lot of politics, but you are a Nigerian, and definitely you'll be interested in what's going on in your country with the elections so close by. So I would ask you on that premise that, do you believe that our Nigerian politicians across board, that they are campaigning on the right things?
For starters, I need to see a manifesto.
There are some manifestos here and there, but many Nigerians seem to think it's not adequate because at the moment, I think the most prominent are from the presidential candidates.
What are we talking about? And even the presidential manifesto, we need key points. Just give me like 5 bullet points. Don't ask me to go and read a 170-page document that you and I know I'm not going to read. All I need to know is I'm going to do A, B, C, D in the first 3 years, A, B, C, D, and then people can relate to that. And then you can then make it more robust and then go into details. But for starters, give me like a 4-page manifesto, bullet points of what the issues are, what you're planning to do, and how you plan to address those issues. But I am not so sure. I may be wrong. Like I said, I may be wrong. Maybe it's out there, and I haven't just seen it because I have not paid attention to it. But it would be nice if we know what each party stands for, what each individual stands for. Coming here, I was talking to the driver, and we're just having a chat. And we're talking about, thuggery and election. And he said, it's so sad that the politicians who use the thugs, at the end of the day, dump the thugs, meanwhile, their own children. And I was so happy he said that. And I said to him that I hope and pray that a lot of people whose kids are used or are being used for this can begin to see this and say, you know what, no, my child will not be the one you would use as a pawn for your electoral.
Well, like you said, the tides are changing, to be candid, because we have the not too young to run law now. It's moved from a bill to a law, and some young persons are taking up that challenge. Based on what you're saying, do you see a chance for the young people who maybe they've been used as thugs in the past, but now they want to, have a say in what goes on? Do you see a chance for them in the current Nigeria?
No.
Why?
For starters, for you to do politics in Nigeria, you need a lot of money, like every other place in the world. But the kind of money that you need in Nigeria is so unreal that when I look at, apart from the two main parties, when I look at the others, I'm like, do they have access to that kind of money? I am not so sure. So really and truly, is it a competition between two main parties or a competition for, do we have a plain level field?
A lot of persons seem to be a bit on the optimistic side. You see a lot of young, I don't know if you're aware that there are some very young presidential candidates that are coming up to say they want to be president of this country, and they're quite vibrant.
I am happy that they're coming up, but at the same time, I say to people that if you want to become the president of a country, what is your pedigree? I'm sorry, being the president of Nigeria is tough cookie. As a young person, I would have expected the young people coming up now to have maybe gone through, councillorship or done something. The fact that you run a business, running a business is different from running a country, in my books. It is different. If you look at even Mr. Trump, he had been in politics, a businessman, but he's also has a background in politics in the United States. He didn't just say because he's a businessman, he's got the money, that's why he's running. Yeah. I think I would have been more comfortable if all the young people, because it seems like some people have just woken up in the last 2-3 years and decided, I want to become president of Nigeria. No, I would have expected them to go through, maybe even start from, councillor, contest as a councillor. You get the gist.
A bit of experience, and then
yes,
you come
and then
out.
Contest as any other at party level.
Okay, I'm just going to let you be on the politics side because
obviously so I may be talking rubbish.
No, you would not. I disagree, because with your level of exposure, I mean, you can move experience from one area to the other, and that's where you differ with Ambassador Kamati, whom I spoke with a couple of weeks ago, or months back now. Talking about Ambassador Kamati, she had this thought that Nigerian women are ready to participate in politics, and we had quite a nice conversation about that. I'd like to know your thoughts on Nigerian women in politics. Do you think that we're ready to actually take the reins of power?
I am not an advocate for just the fact that just because you're a woman, then you're given the role. No, you must be able to deliver. They're two different things. So if we look at the terrain, the political terrain in Nigeria, and look at women who we think have been on the scene and are able to deliver, why not? Why not? I mean, it's so sad that when Mrs. Sarah Jibril, is that her name? When she contested the last time during the last dispensation, she really didn't get much. That's another thing, the support that women give to their counterpart. Just hold on to the thought. We'll come right back to it. We'll go on a very short break. One-on-One continues right after. Stay with us. You're watching One-on-One on Plus TV Africa, and I still have with me Miss Yemisi Jenkins. Before we went on that break, we're talking about women participation in politics. Let's just go to the support women give to each other. How do you see that? Is it something on the rise, or do we still have that pull them down syndrome among the sisters? I think we are moving past the pull down syndrome. I think more people are beginning to, or more women are beginning to see the importance and the essence of working together. But like I said, for me, it's not just because I'm a woman. I don't want you to give me something just because I'm a woman, but I want that thing because I am able to achieve, and I'm more than qualified to be in that role. I think we need more women to start going into politics. Those who have the flair for it, I don't. I would support any woman who can or is willing, but don't just want to go, don't tell me you want to go into it just because we need women filling posts. No. Go in because you have something to deliver.
You're saying don't give me a role because I'm a woman, give it to me because you feel that I'm competent enough. Would you describe yourself as a feminist?
No.
Why?
I believe in I believe in equality. I was equality diversity advisor for the Home Office for close to 16 years. So when it comes to gender and equality, I wear that hat very well. I think, unfortunately, when you talk about feminism, a lot of people take it to the extreme that I'm not very comfortable with. We all have our roles. I cannot do what the man is designated as a man to do. But when it comes to professional jobs, I don't see any difference. Like I said at the beginning, I have always worked in predominantly male-dominated environment, and I have thrived.
Don't you think that might have colored your view a bit, because you really you worked in an environment that's quite different from where some women would say that they work, and your description of feminism might be at variance with what they think?
You may be right, and that is why I'm a bit conscious of how I describe it. If you tell me, okay, let me come from my own perspective as if feminism, as I would describe. As a woman, I will not expect the man to do everything for me. If I can, why not? But that does not mean it then has to be out there that I'm the one doing it. As a Christian, yes, the man is the head of the family. In a boat, you must always have a captain. But that does not mean that the man is the only one who takes the decision. It is a partnership. All
right, we're almost running out of time, so
sorry.
I would have loved to continue on that line of questioning, but let's move on to something that's a little bit more poignant at this moment, and that's the seeming increasing cases of stabbing in the UK, and it also affects young Nigerians. We over here, we watch it, we read about it, and I wanted to know your thoughts. What is the Nigerian community doing? And in your capacity in the Home Office, what do you do to help with the situation?
That is a very, very sore point. That is, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what has sort of happened in the last few years. If you look at the percentage of people that have been stabbed, I think 11% are of Nigerian descent. A lot of people are doing a lot of work, but it's for us to actually have an understanding of why is this happening, and then we can begin to help ourselves. We are trying within what is available to us as a community. A lot of people are coming up with so many ideas, and we're running with it. We're praying and hoping that we will be able to address this, because as a mother, it is nobody's prayers to have to bury their child. But I think the first thing we need to do is go back to the basics within the family. So many children cannot talk to their parents. So many parents are too busy going out there looking for their daily meal. As much as I understand that, but we're neglecting these kids. And when we're not there for them, they then go out to other people who then
gives them wrong
provide
advice.
That comfort, that, how do I describe it, that is not at home. I am not berating anybody that has to work to keep the family, but what I do not agree with is when you do 3, 4, 5 jobs to buy ashwebi and go to parties and do things like that, and your kids are home, they don't see you. There are times kids just want to talk, and if you don't capture it at that time, it may be that a child is going through something, and at that minute, mommy or daddy is not there, or mommy is not there, daddy is not there. You miss that, and when they go out, approach other people, and they sort of provide the advice they think they want to hear, definitely that will be their default.
I would certainly hope that more effort will be expended, because, like you said, the percentage is too high and really worrisome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us on One on One.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure talking with you, actually.
Thank you.
And that's it on One on One today. We've been talking with Ms. Yemisi Jenkins, MBE. She's shared her thoughts as a Nigerian living in diaspora and working for and with Nigerians. It's been a pleasure to do the interview. I'm hoping that you can join us again for another package of One on One. My name is Felicity Ezewike. You take care of yourself now.